Hi everybody, what's with Nadia? I'm Nadia, I'm a personal coach, and today I will be interviewing Mr. Hann. Mr. Hann is a freedom coach. He focuses on giving you freedom to achieve the life that you want to live. And today he is here all the way, well, he's actually from Australia, but he is all the way in Brazil right now. So really exciting. Will, welcome. How are you?
Yeah, I'm awesome. So good to be here.
Yeah, so good to have you. How's it going in Brazil? How's the weather?
The weather's pretty good. I'm in like the southern Brazil, so it was still just coming out of winter. So I'm looking forward to the warmer weather.
That is fantastic. Yes, comes January will be warm and nice, and then summer. Very good. All right. Well, like I said, thank you for being here. I would like to know a little bit more about your background in coaching. Like, how did you get to this point of becoming a coach? What took you to this point?
Um, it's a really long story, but I'll try and condense it down for you. So, I think I've always been interested in personal development for my own personal journey. So I've always been interested in learning about myself and how I can improve myself. And I felt that I had struggles internally that I always tried to work out. And so for probably 20 years, I've been doing own personal development work. And during that time, I found that I'm a natural kind of person to help other people. And so I was actually coaching people before I realized I was coaching people. So I was coaching people before I was getting paid for it. And so it was just a natural transition. And it took, over 20 years to move out of my IT field, which wasn't really, it wasn't my passion, IT. So it was good to actually finally move into my passion.
That is amazing.
Now I help other people and I teach them all the stuff that I've learned over the 20 years of my journey.
That's phenomenal. Well, do you have a story of transformation that you would like to share with us this morning?
A story of transformation. I think most of mine have been very gradual transformations, except for one massive transformation. And I suppose I can explain that in more detail for you. And that will probably explain a lot about the way I coach as well. So that'll kill two birds.
I'm excited. I'm all ears.
Yeah, excellent. So for 20 years, I was trying to fix myself. Let's say I felt broken, and I felt that if I just kept searching, I'd eventually find the answers. So I would go and read self-help books. I would go to seminars. I would try anything I could think of. I would go to counselors, and I would try all sorts of weird techniques like time life therapy and past life regression, anything I could pretty much find to try and make myself feel right on the inside. I knew something was not right, and I felt like I wasn't living my true potential. Something was stopping me. And no matter what I tried, nothing seemed to work. I'd always fall back into the same patterns. And after trying for so many years, I felt like there must be something wrong with me, because I see all these other people changing around me. I see all these other people going to seminars and changing and them being successful, but I wasn't moving. I felt like I was stuck. A lot of people say they feel like they're on the hamster wheel. They're just running really hard, but not getting anywhere. I was on that treadmill and I just wasn't getting anywhere. And after a while, I would just fall into despair and eventually depression. And I would pretty much almost give up. But then I'm a stubborn person, so I just kept getting back off the ground, and I would try something else. And I would be in these patterns of trying and then giving up and hitting the floor and then picking myself up. And so I was on this cycle for a long, long time. And I'm very, very thankful that I'm a stubborn person, and I kept going. And I eventually figured out what was going on. I finally figured out why for 20 years, nothing seemed to have worked. So I can share that transformation story with you.
Thank you.
So the big understanding for me was that we believe that we're this single mind. We have these thoughts and we're in control of everything. And if I want to give up smoking, I should just be able to say, hey, I want to give up smoking, and I should be able to give up smoking. But we know that's not the case. It's the same for, I want to lose weight. I want to stop eating like crap food, and tomorrow I should be able to do it. But we find that just isn't the case.
Would you say, Will? Would you say that it's because human nature is one of habits?
Exactly, yeah. It's because we're full of habits. We run from habits. And so the big takeaway for me was that we're not just this single mind. We're actually two minds. And it's the mind that we're unaware of that is running the show.
I agree with you. It's the subconscious mind, right?
Yeah, the subconscious mind. And when I worked that out, it was like, okay, this is why I'm not changing. It's because all the work I've been doing has been focused on my conscious mind. It's been focused on learning consciously. But the thing is, the conscious mind is only in control 5% of the time. So
that's interesting.
And it's scary as well. You think you're in control, but 95% of the time you're running from habits. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And so that was like a big aha moment for me. And the other bit of information that really made sense was the majority of our habits are formed. So 80% of your habits are formed before age 8. So we're running from patterns 95% of the time that we picked up when we were a kid.
Yes.
And so when you're a child, you don't have the intellectual awareness to know what's a good habit, what's a bad habit, I call them also beliefs. You don't know what a good belief is or a bad belief. And so that's why I struggled for so long to try and break these habits, because I was just focusing on the wrong mind. And so once I figured that out, I worked out, okay, what techniques can I use to transform my subconscious mind? And once I did that, my life completely changed overnight.
That's amazing. So you're talking about going to seminars and seeing counselors and whatnot. And why do you think you were not experiencing a soul transformation per se after doing all those things?
Because most of those things are focused on the conscious mind, which is all about learning. It's about the intellect. Then most of them do not focus on changing the subconscious mind.
Right.
And so that's the big thing. When you read a book, you have intellectual understanding. You have understanding from the conscious mind, but the subconscious mind doesn't change. It doesn't care. It just keeps doing what it always does.
It's crazy.
The subconscious mind is like a computer program. It just does what it's always done in the past. Doesn't really mind. Doesn't care that your conscious mind wants something different. It's
absolutely.
just keep doing what it did yesterday.
It is really crazy, but that is true. And in terms of programming your brain or programming your subconscious mind, I know there's a lot of programs out there, like repetition and just trying to install new habits in the self and whatnot. Did you go through any of those exercises for yourself?
I tried to figure out everything that I could get my hands on. And so I found things that took a long time to work. And as you said, like repetition, affirmations, they can work, but they take a long time. I found some other processes that can change the subconscious mind in a matter of minutes. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. And I went through that process, excuse me, and that was probably the weekend that changed my life. Like I did a lot of these processes over the course of a weekend, and I didn't recognize myself by the end of the weekend. I was just sitting there thinking, who am I? I'm finally the person who I've always known I can be. And it was a really strange feeling. Like it was a really good feeling, but a really strange one at the same time.
Oh my gosh. I can only imagine, because you've been this person your whole life, experiencing, of course, we always experience change, right? Every day we experience change. We're not the same person we were 5 minutes ago. We're not the same person we were yesterday or a year ago, right? So we, excuse me. Change is definitely a constant in humans' life. However, when there's, I guess, a huge impact in our feelings or emotions or some experience that we go through, I think that is when we get like a big aha moment, right? When we're like, okay, that's where it is. I guess it just clicks in your brain, in your soul, in everywhere. Like, it resonates all around you.
It resonates, yeah, exactly. And it's something you can't verbalize when you have that shift. You couldn't explain it to someone.
You just feel it.
I was listening to something the other day, and it really made sense. It was, they use the analogy of when you have a shift on the subconscious level, it's just an instantaneous understanding. His analogy was, it's like a joke. When I tell you a joke, it's an instantaneous laughter when you understand the joke. But if I have to explain the joke to you, it's not as funny.
No, it's so true. I love that
thing. Yeah. And it really made sense, because if you try and explain something to someone, they may understand it on an intellectual level, and they may be able to even repeat it and tell you that they understand it, but they may not have got that shift on the subconscious level.
Okay. And would you share with us a little bit of how you get to that shift in the subconscious level?
How do you? As I said, there's many, many different types of processes.
Mm-hmm.
And you said there's affirmations. Hypnosis can be successful as well. It depends on a lot of different factors with hypnosis. I tried that myself, and it was a little bit hit and miss. I did have some benefits.
Okay.
And but yeah, there's lots of other processes, and I think you need to figure out what works for you as well, because it's as you said, it's whatever resonates with you.
Yeah.
And I figured out the one that works for me, and so that's what I use with my pretty much most of the time. I use that with my clients because it's just so fast and easy.
Okay. Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, it's really good. And the strange thing is that one of the first beliefs I ever changed was change is fun and easy, because I had this belief that change was hard, it was grueling, it took a lot of time and effort.
Most people think that.
Yeah, and that's what society tells us. You have to remember that a lot of our beliefs came from society.
From society and from the way that we were brought up, right? Our parents, our teachers, our little friends when we were like little. But at the same time, we cannot blame them. I guess society maybe, but parents, in the end, they're doing the best they can, right? They're just repeating patterns from their parents, or repeating patterns from their parents, and so on and so forth, right? You go back to cavemen, and I don't know what cavemen knew, but you know, we've been just repeating patterns ever since then.
Yeah, sometimes it's not DNA that has that doesn't replicate habits. It's more that picking up from the subconscious mind. And as you said, it's not about blaming people. It's about understanding that they're probably just, as you said, running from habits that they picked up from society, from their parents. But it's now that you have the understanding, it's taking responsibility for your own life now that you know how to change.
Yeah, you stop being a victim. Exactly. Yeah, like you stop being that victim and just claiming your power back, and just understanding that you're the creator of your life, that nobody can do anything to you. Nobody can harm you if you don't allow anybody to harm you. Like the moment you put yourself in this fragile position of, oh, they looked at me in a funny way, oh my gosh, they are being exclusive of my whatever age, gender, race, whatever, you know, like it's so silly to put yourself in this box. Like claim your power back and stop being a victim, you know, and then from there you can create the life you want, I think.
Exactly. And as you mentioned, then it was when people upset you, or when you have this fear of judgment, it's actually a good mirror to work out what's actually going inside your mind.
Absolutely.
I love talking to people about judgment, because most people have a fear of judgment. They're worried about what other people are going to think or say. But when you worry about what other people will think, you actually never know what they're going to think.
No.
You just assume what they're going to think. And they're probably not even thinking that. They probably are thinking about their own worries and fears, about how people are judging them.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So the fears that you have about other people judging you is actually your own fear about yourself. You're just projecting it onto other people. And so you're taking away that responsibility. You're actually giving the power to the
other person, to the outside. Exactly.
Yeah, you expect other people to change, when really you're the one that has to change. You're the one that has to take ownership and see that this is a fear that you have about yourself, and you're just afraid that someone may see it.
And then it just like finds you. It's just like a mirror, like you said.
And once you transform that fear, no one has that power over you anymore. But yourself. You're the only one that has that power over yourself. Yeah, exactly. So even if someone has that judgment about you, it doesn't actually make you upset, because you've taken ownership.
Yes, and at the same time, when people judge you, it's really just their insecurities coming out. Because in the end, it really is. It's really how we see things, right? It's like reality is so subjective, don't you think? Like it really is how you look at it. Like in the end, I really believe, and I kind of studied about it a little bit as well, about the fact that reality is neutral, you know? It's really neutral. Like everything is exactly how it's supposed to be. I know it's sometimes hard for our egos to hear this, because our egos are always looking for that comfort of feeling accepted and validated and whatnot. However, when you understand that everything that happens, whether you think is good or bad, it doesn't matter, because in the end it's neutral. You're the one that are saying, yes, it's nice, or no, it's horrible, you know? In the end, it's just a perspective. You know, for some people, COVID has been horrible. For some people, has been amazing. You know, think of all the pharmaceutical company. Well, that's another subject. But
it's another podcast. But yeah, no, you're so right. It's the world is in duality. There's always two sides. There's always good and a bad side to everything. And as you said, it's the ego that only sees one side, and that's where pain caused in people when they only see one side of the story.
Yes.
And so when you can see both sides of the story, when you can see the good and bad and find that neutral ground, that's when you have transformation. That's when you become free, is when you do find that middle ground. And I work a lot with people on that, finding the peace in the middle.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Especially when there are a lot of us that go through painful situations, but if you are able to shift your mind to the point that you see the positive out of every situation, your life will be so much brighter and easier and happier, you know, as a whole.
Exactly. You look at anyone who's gone through massive, massive trauma, and if they can find the good in it, they use it as their calling. They then go out and make sure that no one ever has to go through that again. And just like my pain of 20 years of dealing with a lack of confidence and self-esteem, that's now my gift. I wouldn't change anything. When you can look at an event in the past that caused you trauma and think, I would never change it because I would lose all these good things, then you know you're at peace about it.
Perfect. And that just makes you feel at ease.
Yeah, exactly. It was meant to be. This was the path I was meant to go on, just so I could now help other people in a similar position.
Yeah.
If that didn't happen to me, I don't know, I would be in a completely different place.
How mature is that?
Yeah.
How amazing is that? I love this. I love this, Will, that you're able to look at it from that point of view.
Yeah. And you look at anyone who's been through trauma and has come through the other side, they will use it as their gift.
I love that.
But if you hold on to it and only see the negative, it'll haunt you to the day you die.
Absolutely. And it will just make your life just not very happy. Because it just makes you a sour person. You just
exactly.
In the end, you can only give out what you have inside you, right?
Yeah.
So if you're kind of loving with other person, it's because you are kind of loving with yourself, right? It all comes from within. Yeah, as within is without, they say, right? So it's interesting. If you find somebody that is sour or mean or whatnot, it really is never personal. It's just that person reflecting their own beliefs about themselves, which is kind of crazy.
One of the best quotes I've heard is from Wayne Dwyer, and he goes, "If you squeeze an orange, you're only ever going to get orange juice." Right.
I love that.
And that's always stuck with me. So whenever you see someone manifesting something, that's just who they are. It's what they have inside.
Absolutely. In the end, sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, I was going to say, and if you don't have self-love, then you can't give love, which is something I work with people on, because when they have a lack of self-belief, generally they have a lack of worth, lack of self-love,
lack of self-esteem.
Yeah, they all come together. Those things: self-esteem, self-worth, self-love.
Yes.
And so when you can have those things yourself and be able to then give them in a relationship, your relationships are completely different. Instead of trying to get something from a relationship, and you give on to that relationship because you don't want to lose it, because it's actually your source of worth and source of love, because you don't realize that you actually have it inside you already. You feel like you're lacking that, so you need something outside yourself.
Yes.
You hang on to relationships for all the wrong reasons.
No, absolutely.
When you try and hang on to something, you that's when whenever you need something, when you get needy in a relationship, that's when people pull away. It's about valuing a relationship, not needing a relationship.
Absolutely. And it's so important, the fact that we need to first love ourselves in order for us to be able to love everyone else around us. And it's like that with everyone, with everything. We need to learn to respect ourselves for us to respect other people. We need to be kind to ourselves before we can be kind to others. So it all comes from self-love, like you were saying. Self-love. It really does.
That's where I've changed my title. I started generic as a life coach, then I went to a confidence coach, and now recently I've changed to a freedom coach because that just resonated with me so much more, because people are looking for that sense of freedom, but they're looking for it in all the wrong places. They're all looking at they're looking for it in external situations or external
approval or
everything.
everything.
Approval. I want people to love me. I want people to accept me. If I make lots of money, then I'll be worthy. People will like me. They just think that, if I have lots of money, have lots of things, if I have nice clothes, but it only takes that feeling away on the inside for a short amount of time.
Momentarily satisfaction, right? Like immediate satisfaction, releasing some dopamine in your brain, and you go crazy, want to buy it all. But no, that's another podcast about the chemicals in the brain. But
exactly, and it doesn't fix it completely. Only almost fix it, and then you're back to square one again.
Yeah.
I see people who become chemically addicted. They become addicted to what do you call it? Like clothes shopping, shoe shopping, whatever that it is. There's always something on the outside that they need to keep getting that, as you said, that hit in the brain.
When really it's all within.
It's and once it's within, it completely changes.
Yes.
If you don't need anything on the external world, it's life changing.
It really
it's
is.
very hard to explain until that you get that subconscious awareness of that.
It really
tell
is.
people that, and they sort of get it, but when you actually take them through the process to have those things, it's like a massive light bulb that goes off in their mind, and they completely change. That's
amazing, Will. That is amazing. So how long ago did you experience this change in your life?
It's probably about 3 years ago.
Okay.
A bit over 3 years ago. It completely shifted for me.
Is that when you decided to move to Brazil? You're like, I don't like Australia. It's too consumist. Bye. I'm going to Brazil.
Going to Brazil? No, I came to Brazil about 18 months ago. My girlfriend is originally from Brazil, so she got a job out here, so we moved out here.
Oh, that's so cool. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's really good.
Is she also a coach?
No, she's in epidemiology.
Okay. Well, very interesting.
So a bit different, but.
Do you coach her?
No. Never coach family.
Never
coach partners.
No.
Fraught with danger. So,
No, it's true. You can alter her subconscious mind.
No. You never ever. Well, the thing is, you can't help people unless they want to be helped.
Absolutely.
And that is the biggest struggle I have working with people. I can show people how to change in a couple of minutes, but because their subconscious mind is so
stubborn.
As I said, it's running 95% of the time. The other thing that I didn't mention before is that the subconscious mind runs, I think they estimate it has a processing power of around about 20 million bits of information a second.
Yes.
Well, the conscious mind can deal with about 20.
That's why we have a reticular activating system, right? Telling us what information to pay attention to and what information goes to the subconscious mind. So really important, once again, to choose your thoughts and choose your focus. What are you going to focus on? If you keep focusing on negative things, you're going to keep seeing negative things. If you keep focusing on positive and the lovely and the nice and the sweet things in life, you'll get more of that, because it's just your brain being programmed and activated. But very interesting. And well, I was also going to ask you, like, regarding coaching, do you have any piece of advice for people that are watching this podcast in terms of when should they engage a coach?
When they should I really believe that you should always engage a coach.
I agree.
It's like personal training for your mind. When
for
should
your
you
mind,
engage
for
a
your
personal
soul.
trainer? Should you wait until you get fat and overweight and unhealthy to engage a personal trainer, or should you just do it now before you get to that point? I always believe you should be proactive, not reactive.
Yes.
And if you're really into wanting to grow your life into the full potential, a coach is the best thing. If you want to become a better tennis player, you hire a coach. Every
Absolutely.
sporting team has a coach, whether it's like under sixes or the profession, like, you know, one of the, like Manchester United, whatever the big sporting teams are.
Yes.
Every team has a coach to help people become better players.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really believe that nobody can go through life just by themselves.
No, because your subconscious mind will only allow you to see what you believe. There's this thing called confirmation bias. And so when you have a belief, it actually filters the world. So as you said, you can only see so much information coming in. And so your belief will only allow you to see whatever you believe. The mind can only live through what it believes. And so even though something, you may be completely wrong and everyone tells you that you're wrong and everyone says you need to do something else, your mind will not allow you to change because your subconscious mind only deals in patterns. It deals in repeating the past.
Yes.
And so unless you have someone to coach you through that, you're just going to keep repeating the past. You're going to stay on that treadmill until a coach can drag you off and just say, this is what you need to do to get off that treadmill.
Yes.
You
and
cannot
not
do
only
it by yourself.
I completely agree with you. And it's not only telling you how, but also holding you accountable for it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because every 9 times out of 10 people tell us how to do something, and even though we really feel motivated and we really want to, we just say, oh no, this is too hard, bye. And we just
exactly.
go to
you fall back into the patterns.
yeah. And it's like,
so,
oh, but I
you need
know
someone to keep you accountable and also to help you transfer those old patterns.
Yeah, because it's so interesting. Otherwise you just keep going back to the same patterns, and then it comes along with even more frustration for yourself, because now you're back in square one, but you're frustrated with yourself that you couldn't even go through the things that you said to yourself you were going to go through. So it's not only that's why I also said that you cannot really do this on your own. I mean, I know a lot of people did it before coaching even started, before even coaching was a thing, past generations and so, but I feel like now life can be just happier and easier and just more enjoyable.
We've always had coaches in the past. They may not have been called coaches, but we've had mentors, we've had people to show us how to do things. As a human, humans only learn through other people. That's how we've been designed. We're not designed to learn things by ourselves. We're designed to be in a community and learn from each other. And we can quickly learn skills from other people. But it takes us such a long time, if not, and we may not ever figure stuff out on our own.
It's so true. Well, I guess you can, but it just takes you forever. Like if we were to reinvent the wheel, I mean, goodness, or how to create.
Eventually someone would figure it out. But
might as well just is what we have, right? It's crazy. Yes,
and so you wasted a lot of time. And the world is changing so quickly that I don't think you could keep up with it just on your own.
No.
You wouldn't be able to learn on your own to deal with everything.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Like if you get a new DVD player when they first came out, say, and you didn't get an instruction guide and you had to try and figure it out on your own, it would take you a while. You would get there, but you just read the instruction guide and go, okay, now I know how to do it. Anything new comes with an instruction guide to teach you how to use it.
It's so true.
And so, but we haven't been given an instruction guide for our mind. We're just, here's life, and we
go live it.
I have no idea how to live, and so on your way and hope,
you're just hoping
the best we can.
They're just gonna teach you the best they can to the best of their abilities with loving, I mean, out of love, out of care and whatnot, but sometimes they, without meaning to, of course, and very lovingly, but they happen to put these ideas in our mind of how things should be. And that's why a lot of people unfortunately are not very happy with their lives, because they go through what I call the Safeway, the secure road to happiness, quote unquote. It's like you go to school, then you find a job, then you find someone, then you get married, you have a house with a car and the puppy and whatnot. And then you work until you're 75, I know 65, depends on the country. And then you can live your life at 65 when you're out of energy.
Do what you really wanted to do.
Yeah.
If you've got the energy and the body still works. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
It's a failed system.
It is a failed system. So why do we keep following it?
Yeah, because it's just the beliefs. It's just
a set of beliefs.
Society's beliefs. whenever you push society's beliefs, you'll be called a
You're
rebel.
so weird. Like,
Yeah,
why are you like so weird? Why do you not fit in? Like, yeah,
exactly.
it's so funny.
Society is all wants us to fit in.
Yes, but I guess it's a little bit from both poles, right? Because we also want to fit in, or maybe that's just a belief that we have. But no, I think like
Yeah.
innately, human beings do have like this sense of belongingness. You know, you
Yeah,
need to
we need
belong.
connection.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
We are
can't
not meant to be
survive
by
without other
ourselves.
people. No.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's like a hereditary thing, is because if we were ever abandoned and put out on our own, we would have died.
Yeah.
Having connection was a survival instinct.
Yes.
And we needed that because when we were in tribes, and if our tribe abandoned us, it would be the end of us. We wouldn't be able to do everything on our own.
No, it's so true. Can you imagine a little kid by themselves not knowing how to do anything? Like, how do
Even
you
as an
survive?
adult, you would
No,
really
you're
struggle
absolutely
to
right.
survive on your own. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to defend yourself against all the animals and other tribes and everything else that was going on. You'd be a sitting duck.
No, it's so true.
So it's really instinct in us about having that sense of connection.
It's so true. But because of that, we've taken it way too far, to the point that we now, you know, we need to connect 24/7 using this. And like, it's like, oh my goodness. And I got a message here. And
we're trying to be connected with everyone now. Instead of just a small tribe, it's like we've got like we've got fingertips now that we're trying to connect with and fit in. I think everyone's trying to fit in instead of being themselves. They're afraid if I am myself. I hear this a lot with my clients. People, they say, I'm afraid that people will find out who I really am. That's their fear, because if people see the real me, they may not like me and they may walk away from me. Which I find is it's heartbreaking to hear that from people.
It is heartbreaking.
If you just be yourselves, people will love you for it and other people may hate you for it. You always find your community. We have so many people in this world now that you'll never lose community. It's impossible.
Absolutely. I know I really am I really believe in the phrase, your vibe attracts your tribe. Yeah. So like really, it really depends on how much you love yourself for others to love you and to appreciate you. If you are able to we go back to self-love. We were just speaking about it a few minutes ago. Like in the end, it all starts with the self. Loving yourself and understanding yourself, appreciating yourself.
Thing. Yeah.
Yes.
And then once you do have that self-love, you lose that fear of trying to always fit in with people. You can because you love yourself, you're not trying to get love from other people. I talk about it is there's this, when you don't love yourself, it's like this void. You have this hole and you try and fill it from the external circumstances, through physical objects or through connections with other people. And you'll go into bad relationships with people and stay in them because that's your way of fulfilling or filling this hole inside you of love.
Yeah.
Love from this terrible relationship, and they'll treat you like absolute crap, and you'll stay in there. People on the outside are like, "What are you doing? Like,
right?
With this person,
get out of there."
Emotional, physical abuse, but they stay in there. It's because they don't have that self-love themselves, and once they do have that self-love, they can walk away from those relationships because they don't need the relationship anymore.
No, the relationship starts with oneself.
Someone else. They don't need to try and be someone else to make someone else happy to stay in their life.
Yes, I completely agree with you. And we can maybe talk about relationships in another podcast, but just very briefly, it's really important to just make sure that you love yourself before you try to love somebody else. Because then you will be there for the wrong reasons, you know, and the other person most likely is the same. Like they're just empty. They're just void. They're looking to be with someone that can fulfill that void, but nobody else can do but themselves. So then you're in this toxic relationship when this person wants everything out of you, you want everything out of that person, and like becomes needy and codependent and just in the end toxic.
Spirals out of control. You try and become someone else to fulfill their needs, and they try and change who they are to fill your needs, and all of a sudden you're two different people than you were at the beginning of the relationship, and you're like, who is this person? You're like, I thought you were this person, and that's when it started spirals. So because then you have resentment that you made me change, and I don't like who I am anymore. And as you said, if you come from this place of having self-love, two people have self-love in a relationship, it's a completely different dynamic.
Absolutely, it's life-changing because then both of you are just, both of the people are just enjoying the relationship and are just supporting each other and helping each other grow to the best of their abilities, and just freedom, and everything is just marvelous, you know?
Yeah, it's completely different. Yeah, you're giving love instead of trying to take love from someone to fill that
Yes.
hole.
Yeah, because you have so much love that is you have enough for it to love yourself and to love others. You know, so
Yeah.
I think that's the magical point.
Mm-hmm.
But yes.
I've been thinking about that the last couple of weeks. Is when you're in a relationship and you're trying to get love from someone else.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost, I'm thinking that it's not that you're actually getting love from someone else.
No.
It's actually the other person is showing you that you have love inside you already. Like you can only experience
It's a reflection
from your, yeah. And so it's the other person showing you that you do have love for yourself. You
Yes.
think it's the other person, but really it's actually your love of yourself.
Wow, that's deep. I love that.
Yeah, it is. I still need to sort of work on that a little bit
Right.
more, but it's sort of just a new thought I've had, and I thought, oh, that actually makes more sense.
Yeah.
So
No, it really does. That is amazing.
Yeah, the other person is bringing awareness of your own
Mm-hmm.
self-love.
Yes, completely agree. And I feel like the other person is really just giving you attention and affection. And sometimes we get confused between love and attention and affection, you know? Like the fact that somebody returns your phone calls and asks you how your day is going, like, yeah, they are being kind and loving, but that doesn't mean that, I mean, I hope it means that they love you, but I mean, it may or it may not.
Yeah, exactly. It can be either.
It can be either or, right? But
no
then
one can give
again,
you love. You can only experience it in yourself. It's just that you haven't recognized that it's actually coming from you. You think it's coming from an external source.
yes,
It's not really. So I think if people had that awareness, it would change things for them. So yeah,
I completely agree.
Developing that one a little bit more.
Yes, definitely will. Well, just to end our little interview this morning, if the day of tomorrow you were to expire from this world, like you were to say, no, hopefully not, but what would be 3 things that you would like to leave humanity with?
Oh, that's a tough question. 3 things. Gee, I've got to think of one thing. One thing that I'd leave with humanity is just to be themselves. I think if people were true to themselves and stop trying to fit in, humanity would be a completely different place.
I agree.
And if everyone recognized that we all have self-love inside of us, as I was saying before, we just don't recognize it sometimes. If people recognize that self-worth, self-love, we were all born worthy.
Yeah.
If you look at a child, a baby, and I say to people, what does it take for that baby to be worthy? People always come to the same conclusion. They always say nothing. Baby doesn't need to do a single thing to be worthy. And so my next question for them is, what does it take for you to be worthy? And generally they come back with like 10 things they need to be worthy. And it's like, they don't get it.
No, it's the same thing.
Yeah, eventually they come, I guide them to, you're the same as that baby. You don't need to be anything. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to be anything. You just need to be yourself to be worthy. Absolutely. And when that penny drops, it's like a massive light bulb. So if I could lead people with that self-love, self-worth, self-belief, people would stop fearing about what they could actually achieve. People have these dreams, and I believe everyone has this dharma. Everyone has a calling, but they're so afraid. They have so many layers of fear that it stops them from doing what they needed to do. It stopped me from doing what I wanted to do for 20 years. And so that's my passion in life, is to remove those layers so people can discover their own dharma and start living their life. Yes. Living on purpose. And so people live from purpose, from self-love. God, this place would be completely different.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for that and for this chat this morning. It's been so amazing, and I've learned so much as well. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
No, you're welcome.
Yes. Lastly, Will.
Talk for ages.
Oh, I know. We could just be here forever. Last thing, I would like to ask you just how can people reach you?
Probably the easiest way to reach me is on Instagram. So it's just Inner Beliefs on Instagram.
Perfect.
And yeah, they can just, if they want to know any more information, just send me a message through there. That'll be the easiest thing.
Fantastic.
Or on Facebook at Inner Beliefs as well. But
okay, well, that's amazing. Very nice. So, you know, guys, now reach Will out on on Instagram at Inner Beliefs. And well, once again, thank you so much for coming this morning, Will. We'll see you out and
You're
about.
welcome.
Well, through the internet because it's COVID, but
Yeah, once COVID's finished, yeah, we might catch up somewhere along the lines in October.
Right. Well, stay well. Thank you so much.
You too. Thanks again. Bye.
Bye, Will. That was our interview with Will Hann, guys. Now you know how to reach him on Instagram at Inner Beliefs. And thank you again for watching. This was Chats with Nadia. You can reach me out at Nadia Flores Official on Instagram. And we'll see you in the next one. Adios, amigos.